All right, let's go ahead and get this started. I want to thank you for staying on this morning, either here in the sanctuary or on the new link for YouTube. I am Lori Stratman, the president of your Board of Trustees. And this is our second town hall in preparation for our spring 2022 congregational meeting. We've just enjoyed a service given by our affiliated minister, Reverend Kimberly Debus. We are fortunate to have Kimberly sharing her gifts with us. She does so as part of her affiliation with this church, and I urge you to let Kimberly know just how much you appreciate her while she is here. This meeting is designed to help you understand what will be presented for vote and for consideration at our spring congregational meeting next Sunday, May 22nd. For those who are newer to the church, we have 2 congregational meetings per year, one in May, called the Spring Congregational Meeting, and one in December, called the Winter Congregational Meeting. It is at these meetings that members of the Unitarian Church of Lincoln exercise our democratic process. We do this process to elect our fellow members into lay leadership positions, like the Board of Trustees, and to approve church budget for the upcoming calendar year, and other important things like who will be our Share of the Plate partners for the next church year. This town hall is designed to give you the space to consider and ask questions about the matters that will be voted on following the spring congregational meeting. I'll be outlining the voting process for our May 22 congregational meeting towards the end of this town hall. For those of you watching on YouTube, please feel free to put any questions that you have in the live chat, and we will do our best to answer them. For those of you in the room, please raise your hand, and if you have a question, our volunteer will bring a mic to you, or I will repeat your question so that those on YouTube will be able to hear your question as well. Finally, I ask you to give everyone here the grace to make mistakes. We humans are messy and imperfect. Let us embrace our imperfections and humanity as we converse today. Now, I would like to read our listing of nominees for Share the Plate for our next church year. In no particular order, the following organizations have been nominated to be a recipient of our Share the Plate activity for the 22-23 church year. Foundation for Lincoln Public Schools, Echo Collective, Planned Parenthood, Open Harvest, Morning Hope, Lincoln Indian Center, Blue Heron Tiospa, I'm sure I've totally butchered that name, Friendship Home, Clyde Malone Community Center, NAACP Lincoln Branch Scholarship Fund, Center for People in Need, Food Bank of Lincoln, Center for Legal Immigration Assistance, Community Crops, Everett Free Grocery Program, Fresh Start, Little Free Pantries, Out Nebraska, Lincoln Literacy, Lutheran Family Services, Nebraska Religious Council for Reproductive Freedom, Asian Community and Cultural Center, Voices of Hope, and Willie's Underwear Project. A link to this listing is available on the church website under the governance section if you would like to review these. I appreciate all the great nominations that you have provided, and it really shows our engagement with our community. Thank you for showing up. Next up is Carol Kendrick from our nominations committee to introduce our candidates for the Board of Trustees. Carol?
I'm here as a representative of our nominating committee, and as I call your name, if you are in the room, please come forward and introduce yourself and give a bit. You can't hear me? Is this on?
It has to be pointing at you.
Oh.
Yeah.
There we go. Is that better?
Can you hold it? Just hold it right up at here.
Sure. Well, did you hear me?
It's
I'm
not on.
here from the
Yeah.
nominating
Is
committee.
it on? There we go.
Thank you. I'm here from the nominating committee. Sorry. And we have 5 candidates represented today. If you're in the room, please come forward and give a little bit introduce yourself and a little of your goals for the church in the future. And first, I'll call Melody Vaccaro.
Hi, my name is Melody Vaccaro, and what do we have a list of things we're supposed to discuss?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I've been coming to the church since 2011. My husband is Nick Vaccaro, and he does music sometimes. This is actually the first time I've been back on a Sunday since the before times. And my son Theodore is with me. He's in the nursery, and he just turned 5 this week. And we walked up, and he said, "Why are we at Blue Stem?" And I said, "Theodore, this is also our church." And he was like, "Oh, I didn't know Blue Stem was in a church." Because we pick up Big Brother at school. This is maybe his first time being here that he recalls on a Sunday. So it's kind of a big day for us. And I've done all kinds of different things over the years. And I think just like in my own personal life, I've got Theodore who just turned 5 and Henry's about to be 10. And I have just a little more space in my life to volunteer in a deeper way, in a way that takes a little more time commitment. And so I thought now was a good time, and that's why I decided to run for the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Melody. And next we have Allison Hope Starr. What? Okay, Allison Hope Starr. I'm sorry. You can tell I'm not used to this.
It's okay, Carol. I'm not used to it either. Thank you. I'm Allison Starr. You may know me because I grew up in this church, and then there was a period of time when I went away, and then now I'm back, and I officially became a member in 2019. I am a young adult, so young adult issues are very important to me, and I would like to see more engagement with young adults from the board. So I'm very excited to, in whatever, even if I'm not chosen to be on the board, I would still like to advance young adult issues. And I think that is about it for me. Other than just the anti-racism work that we're doing right now is really important, and I'm also committed to that, and yeah, that's about it, I think. But thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Next we'll have Peg Pelter.
Well, the joke last week was, or I said last week, that I've been around forever and have been lurking about. When I got home, I thought about that a little bit, and I thought lurking was not exactly a great word. Have been around for a long time, but I can honestly say my interest is not in the past. My interest is in our future and where we can go from here. Coming out of the pandemic, and we had such great energy going, and I want to see us capture that again and move forward again. And I still kind of want to see that sanctuary sometime in my lifetime.
Thank you, Peg. We have a candidate who wasn't able to be here today. Her name is Michelle Howard, and she taped a brief message.
We can take a moment and figure that out and go to the next thing and then come back to Michelle.
Okay, sorry about that. And our fifth candidate is Dorothy Ramsey.
Thanks, Carol. I'm Dorothy Ramsey, and I've been Unitarian since about 1984 or 5, I believe, and several churches throughout until I landed in Lincoln for
Hi,
work.
my name is,
Me? Okay, I'll keep going. So I've been here since about 2010. Came briefly and was kind of a lurker for a while, and then kind of stepped back for a year or two, and then about 8 years ago came back with a vengeance. And we have to thank Karen Deanspear for inviting me to participate in the Sorensen Committee, because once I started getting involved, I've been involved ever since. I've not been on the board as an elected board member. I've been on the board appointed as the treasurer, but that's been several years ago, and now I'm running for a regular elected board position. I'm very interested in seeing us get back to 2 services. We were right on the cusp of being, filling 2 services. They were growing at that time, and the pandemic hit us. I know those people are still out there and want us. And the other thing is, we had just begun, when I was on the appointed role and attending board retreats, we had just begun to beginning to think about the new sanctuary in a 3 to 5 year out there kind of, but time to start thinking. And the pandemic put the squash on that. So I would love to see us fulfill our 2 service seats and start thinking about the sanctuary. Thanks.
Thank you, Dorothy. I think now we have the tape for Michelle Howard.
hi, my Michelle Howard, pronoun. Hi, my name is Michelle Howard. Pronouns are she, her, hers. My goal is to make strangers feel at home and reaching out towards the community and younger children.
Thank you very much, and we'll be looking forward. Yes?
Question, I'm sorry, probably everybody else knows, but when we vote next week, do we vote for one or how many?
Thank you. She asked if next week if we vote how, and we will vote for 3 candidates. And Oscar. It is on, yeah. We'll vote for 3 candidates. There'll be 3 going off the board, and these new candidates will be replacing them. Thank you.
Also, many thanks to the nominations committee because they have done the work of finding these candidates.
Thank you so much, Carol, and thank you to all of our great candidates. It's wonderful to have such a talented collection of people volunteering to consider this work. With only 3 positions open, we know that not everyone nominated will be elected, but I want to personally note that every one of the candidates has my gratitude for being willing to do this work and to go through the election process. Can we give these candidates another round of applause? Okay, the next order of business is to review the minutes from the spring 2021 and winter 2021 congregational meetings. We will be voting on the approval of these minutes following the congregational meeting next week. Due to a scheduling conflict, our current Board of Trustees Secretary, Tanya Hay, was not able to be here. So I am inviting Meg Maring, who I'm not seeing here in the audience, maybe not even online. So perhaps if you could take a look at the minutes, and Oscar can note any changes or amendments that are requested to these minutes. Let's go ahead and take the spring 21 congregational minutes first. Please take a moment to review those. And for those of you who were present last spring on virtually, because that was a virtual meeting, please take a moment to let us know if there are any changes that need to be made. And I'll be looking at those of you on YouTube as well. Okay, it looks like most folks in the sanctuary are at least on the last page. Okay, in our live chat, Mary Summersmeyer says on the spring of the bottom of page 2, next to the last paragraph, it says error, hyperlink reference not valid, should be corrected. Thank you, Mary. Any other corrections, amendments? I'm going to give it another half minute. Okay. Last chance. All right, seeing no other requests for changes, we're going to proceed with that one correction from Mary Summersmeyer and move forward to the winter 2021 congregational minutes. That one is much shorter. Please take a moment to look that over. Mary Summersmeyer in our live chat indicates on the winter congregational meeting minutes on page 1, in the middle, under Luff, it says, written report will be attached, and the report needs to be attached, or the statement deleted, either one. Thank you, Mary. Any other updates on the winter congregational meeting minutes? Okay, see none in the sanctuary or on live chat. There are our changes and updates to the winter congregational meeting minutes. Thank you all for your attention and input on these documents. It is an important thing. While I'm here, a governance item I'd like to mention while I have your attention is that the 2022 General Assembly for the UUA is fast approaching. Our church is eligible to have up to 6 candidates, or I should say delegates, to vote on important issues for the UUA that impact our church. General Assembly will be both virtual and in person this year in June, so you have options on how to attend. Additionally, folks who would like to be a delegate virtually but are not able to attend the rest of the conference can do so without a registration fee. So, something to consider. If you're interested in attending all or just the delegate business sessions and would be willing to serve as a voting delegate on behalf of our church, please let me or Oscar know as soon as possible. Okay. The Board of Trustees will be voting on who will serve as our delegates during the June 15th meeting. Note that this is not the usual date for our board meeting. This is 1 week later to accommodate a scheduling situation. So I want to point that out, that June 15th is our next board meeting, and that's where we will determine who our delegates will be out of the folks who have volunteered to be so. Also, as a side note, I have been a delegate twice for the church, and it's been a really interesting experience. You learn a lot about the UUA and about people in general, and there's some fantastic folks that run it, so I recommend it. Now I'm going to take a moment to talk about what we can expect next week at our spring congregational meeting. We'll start the meeting 11-ish, right after the service. There will not be coffee service again, I'm sorry. So I'm going to recommend that you come pre-caffeinated. The meeting will be formatted much like this one is today, with in-person presence and YouTube live stream. The items that we're going to be voting on for approval will be a temporary change in voting procedure, because we are doing a multi-platform format. The approval of both the spring and winter 2021 congregational meeting minutes, which we just read about. The nominations for the Board of Trustees for our open positions, and the Share the Plate nominees. And I'll talk about how we're going to do that voting in just a few minutes. We'll also hear reports from our minister, the treasurer, our program council chair, the director of religious growth and learning, and our music director. They've got some exciting things to share with us. And I promise you, I've limited them to 5 minutes or less per report, so we won't be here until 3 o'clock. Finally, our Unsunguu for the year will be revealed. Now that in itself is worth being here for, right, folks? And before I move on to how we're going to conduct the voting, are there any questions that you have at this point about next week? Okay, hearing none. Before we adjourn, I'm going to go over how the voting will work, since not all of us are going to be in the sanctuary next weekend to do our consensus voting. We're going to conduct the congregational meeting, and then immediately following that meeting, you're going to receive an email from the church office with a link to a ballot. It's going to be a Google form, and you'll just click that link and go to that form. So I'm going to recommend that if you need to update your email in Realm, do so before next Sunday, okay? In the message, you'll have the link, you'll go to the ballot, there'll be instructions on the ballot on how to vote. Follow those instructions really closely, okay? Once you're done with your voting, then you're going to click the submit button. It's going to go to the church office for counting. And for those who do not have electronic means of voting or don't wish to vote electronically, we do have the option of a paper ballot. We know the folks already who are going to be getting the paper ballots, those who don't generally do the electronic anyway. But if you don't normally get, say, the Beacon as a hard copy, you might want to let the church office know that you want a paper copy if you want a paper copy ballot, okay? Those who have signed the membership book and have made a pledge, not necessarily a monetary, here's my check, but a pledge for this year, are the folks who will be able to vote. Okay, so that's a perk of membership, is being able to vote. You're going to have 48 hours after that email to do your vote. So votes are going to be due Tuesday at 11 a.m. following the congregational meeting. Okay. Let's see. For those who are not voting electronically, I forgot to mention, you don't necessarily have to mail your vote in. You can call the church office and give them your vote if you want to. You can send them an email with your vote, however works best for you, okay? Now I've talked enough. It's time to let you talk. What questions do you have regarding the voting process? Christina.
When will we know the results of the voting, and how will we learn the results of the voting?
Very good question. And Oscar, jump in if I get this incorrect, but I believe the votes will be counted in time for the Tuesday e-blast, and that will be announced in the Tuesday e-blast, and then also again the following Sunday. Very nice question. Any other questions? I'm going to look at our live chat real quick here to see if there are any questions.
So is all the voting online?
All the voting is online unless you're getting the paper copy because you do not do electronic transactions. Anything else? I feel like a teacher up here. I must have explained it really well. Not seeing anything in live chat. Okay. I want to thank you for your grace and your patience and your time today. I think we covered a lot of good ground, and I hope to see you next Sunday at our congregational meeting. Be well, beloveds. We are adjourned.
I'm going to take 10 seconds to pitch what's happening this week before we adjourn the town hall fully. So Kimberly Debus was here. She led a singing workshop last night. She preached this morning. On Tuesday, we'll have an event where we really dive into our hymnal and look at what has changed and what has stayed the same since the Gray Hymnal was published. That process began the year I was born. So it is not a young hymnal at this point. Second, Thursday night is our second annual Universalist Tent Revival. It has been 3 years since the first annual Universalist Tent Revival, but we are pressing on. We have found tents, which is a minor Universalist miracle during graduation season. The weather report looks good. The A Street Band is rehearsed. We have our affiliate community minister here, and we have 3 days to finish writing the service. So on Thursday night at 7 o'clock, we will be out on the patio under the stars and under tents of a variety of colors lent to us by a variety of sources. We really hope to see you there. It's going to be a really, really good night. And then next Sunday, we will join for the spring congregational meeting and the flower service where we recognize our volunteers for the year. So big week here. Hope to see you around. That's all I have. Sorry to keep you for an extra couple minutes.